Well, hey everybody. Well, we are out doing food plots right now. It's the end of July. We got rain coming tomorrow. My rule of thumb with plots is always August 1st, give or take a week, depending on rain. And I'm on the front end of that because we got rain coming tomorrow. So it's just about to the last week of August here, and we're going to get these plots in because we want the moisture. So I'm trying out some no-till here. Last year, what I did is crimped this rye that's here and I broadcast brassicas into here, then crimped the rye as a no-till method with the Cultipacker. Well, what ended up happening is I did get some brassicas, but I got a lot of rye, as you can see by all the rye straw that's here. So this year, what we did is when the rye came back this spring, I waited till it headed out and it was kind of in that doughy stage. Like if you feel the head, it just feels doughy. And the seed's not viable yet. So what we did is we sprayed it, and now it's just been sitting here. You can see it's kind of breaking down, but it's still propped up pretty good. And I got good bare dirt underneath it. I mean, there's literally not a weed in here. So this time I broadcast my brassicas into here again. We're going to come through and Cultipack this again, but we shouldn't get that flush of rye, or we will not get that flush of rye that we got last year, because if the seed was viable, we'd be seeing the rye by now, and we're not. So it did break down some. You can see the rye just kind of broke down some over the summer here, but it's still fluffed up enough that I think that seed, I could hear it just dropping through the rye. Should be touching bare dirt. I'm going to pack it down, and we'll see what we get. But I think this could be a good potential no-till method, because it's tough to know what to do with that rye. When you put rye in, it comes back in the spring. You know, if you let it go too long, the seed will be viable, and it's going to probably choke out whatever you plant for your fall plots, even if you till it in. You could spray it right away, but it's nice to have that green, because rye is the first thing to green up in the spring. So it's great nutrition for deer coming out of a tough winter. So I kind of met in the middle, I guess, and waited for it to head out, and but sprayed it before the seed was viable, when it was in the doughy stage, and left it. And now we're going to pack the seed right into it. Great little kill plot here. Excited about this spot. But yeah, so I'll provide an update, or I'll pan to an update here in probably a month or so, month and a half. So before I show you the results of what happens when you terminate the rye and make sure the seed head isn't viable, I wanted to show you what happens if you use the no-till method when the rye seed is viable. So you can see here, this was a plot that was done the year prior. I let the seed head mature and dry down naturally, and then just crimped the seed head over the broadcast brassicas. And you can see that the rye came in very, very thick, and as you can tell by the discoloration in the brassicas, it actually choked out a lot of the brassicas. Now there are parts, like right here, you can see good coloration in the brassicas. There were some brassicas that made it through. But for the most part, the rye came in very, very thick and didn't allow much space for the brassicas to grow and actually get large bulbs. All right, here's the follow-up. This is about 4 weeks worth of growth. I would say terminating the rye before this seed head was viable when trying to no-till is definitely the right move, because this plot's looking really nice. Definitely very pleased what we got going on here. So again, all we did was we had our rye that we planted last year, came in, terminated the seed head when it was in that doughy stage, just sprayed the plot, came back in. It was time to plant, broadcast, then Cultipack this rye down. And I mean, this is a perfectly clean brassica plot. So I think if when I try no-till again, I'm going to use that method. It's a nice way to use that rye that we often overseed in our plots that's going to come back in the spring. just spraying it, and then you got it. If you spray it in July or whenever that seed heads in the doughy stage before the seed's viable, and it's just sitting there ready to plant for your late July, early August fall planting. The only place the seed didn't come was these areas to the edges, and that's because of shade, because I need to remove some trees. So very evident where there's sunlight, good germination. Where there's not sunlight, the rye grew in the shade last year, but brassicas like sun. So I am going to come in and broadcast rye here in about a week. So I'll have this prepped and ready for next year, because I'll fill all this area in with rye and have the extra food component. But then also I'll have it ready for some no-till next year, because I just don't want to till in the timber here. Anyway, very pleased. And it's also getting browsed well too, so. Alright. You all take care. God bless.